You don't become someone new in one moment. You don't wake up one day and suddenly change your life. Most change happens quietly. So quietly you barely notice it. It happens through small habits, tiny choices, things you repeat every day without thinking. And one day you look back and realize, these habits didn't just shape your days, they shaped you. Most people think habits are about productivity, waking up early, drinking more water, doing more. But habits are not really about efficiency. They're about identity. Your brain doesn't ask, who do you want to be? It asks, what do you repeat? Because repetition is how the brain decides what matters. What you repeat becomes familiar. What's familiar becomes normal. And what's normal becomes you. Your brain is a prediction machine. It tries to save energy. So instead of thinking deeply about every decision, it builds shortcuts. These shortcuts are habits. Once a habit is formed, your brain stops questioning it. It just runs the program. That's why habits are powerful. And that's why they're dangerous. Because once something becomes automatic, you stop noticing it. Habit 1. How you start your morning. The first habit is how you start your day. Not in a motivational way. In a psychological way. The first moments after you wake up are when your brain is most suggestible. Your stress hormones rise. Your attention is unfocused. Your mind is open. And whatever you do first sets the emotional tone for everything that follows. If the first thing you do is grab your phone, your brain learns one lesson. React before you think. Messages, notifications, other people's lives. Your brain starts the day chasing, not choosing. Over time, this habit teaches you that your attention belongs to everything else, not you. But if the first thing you do is pause, even for 30 seconds, your brain learns something different. I am in control of the pace. That small difference, repeated daily, decides whether your life feels reactive or intentional. Not because mornings are magical, but because repetition is. Habit 2. How you speak to yourself. The second habit is invisible. It's the way you talk to yourself. Not out loud. In your head. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. But your inner voice is always there. Commenting, judging, explaining who you are. And here's the important part. Your brain does not know when you're joking with yourself. Sarcasm sounds like truth to your nervous system. Every time you think, I'm so stupid, or I always mess things up, your brain hears repetition, and repetition becomes belief. The brain doesn't ask, is this true? It asks, have I heard this before? That's why self-talk shapes identity. Not overnight, but slowly, quietly, until one day that voice doesn't feel like a thought anymore. It feels like a fact. Habit 3. What do you do when no one is watching? This habit is uncomfortable to talk about because it's private. It's what you do when no one is watching. When there's no reward, no validation, no one to impress. These moments don't feel important, but psychologically, they matter the most. Because your brain uses them to answer one question. Who am I when nothing is required of me? If in those moments you choose distraction, avoidance, or numbness, your brain learns that comfort matters more than growth. But if, even sometimes, you choose effort without applause, your brain learns discipline. Identity is not built in public moments. It's built in repetition that no one ever sees. Habit 4. How you avoid discomfort. Your brain hates discomfort. Pain means danger. Uncertainty means threat. So your brain will do almost anything to escape discomfort. Scroll, snack, procrastinate, overthink, avoid. At first it feels harmless, but avoidance is a habit, and habits teach your brain patterns. Every time you feel uncomfortable, you escape. Your brain learns. Discomfort is unsafe. Over time your tolerance shrinks. Things that used to feel manageable start to feel overwhelming. Not because you got weaker, but because your brain never learned how to stay. The habit of avoiding discomfort doesn't remove pain. It delays it, and then multiplies it. Habit 5. Who you surround yourself with. This habit doesn't feel like a habit. It feels like life. But your brain is deeply influenced by the people around you. Emotions are contagious. Beliefs are contagious. Standards are contagious. Your brain constantly adjusts to what feels normal. If everyone around you complains, your brain normalizes dissatisfaction. If everyone around you avoids responsibility, your brain lowers its expectations. Not consciously, automatically. This doesn't mean people are bad. It means brains adapt, and adaptation shapes identity. Slowly, quietly, until you don't remember choosing it. Habit 6. How you respond to failure. Failure is unavoidable, but the habit that forms after failure decides everything. Some people respond with curiosity. Others respond with shame. Shame is a powerful habit. It shuts down learning. It narrows attention. It turns mistakes into identity. When failure becomes proof of who you are, growth stops. But when failure becomes information, your brain stays open. The habit isn't success. It's how you interpret the moment after you fall. That interpretation, repeated over time, decides whether you grow or stay stuck. Habit 7. What you pay attention to. Attention is energy, and your brain becomes what you feed it. If you constantly consume fear, your brain stays alert. If you constantly consume comparison, your brain stays dissatisfied. If you constantly consume noise, your brain loses depth. Attention is not neutral. It shapes perception, and perception shapes reality. You don't need dramatic change. You don't need to rebuild your life. You need awareness. Because habits don't feel powerful when you're doing them. They feel small, insignificant, easy to ignore. That's why they work. Habit 8. How you delay things. Procrastination is not a time problem. It's an emotional habit. Your brain doesn't delay tasks because they're hard. It delays them because they create discomfort, uncertainty, fear of doing it wrong, fear of seeing the result. So your brain chooses relief instead of resolution. And every time you delay something important, your brain learns one lesson. Future me will handle it. Over time, this habit changes how you see yourself. You stop trusting your own intentions. You stop believing your plans. Not because you lack ability, but because your brain has learned that action is optional. Procrastination doesn't steal time. It slowly steals self-trust. Habit 9. How you react when you're bored. Boredom is rare now, but psychologically, it's important. Boredom is when the brain resets, when ideas connect, when emotions surface. But most people don't allow boredom. The moment it appears, they escape. Phone, video, noise. This trains your brain to fear stillness, and a brain that fears stillness loses depth. Creativity weakens. Self-reflection disappears. Thoughts stay shallow. The habit isn't distraction. It's the inability to sit with nothing. And that habit quietly decides how deep your mind can go. Habit 10. How you end your day. Most people don't think about how their day ends, but your brain does. The last moments before sleep are when memories are consolidated. Your brain reviews the day and decides what mattered. If you end your day overstimulated, your nervous system never fully shuts down. Stress becomes the default. But if you end your day intentionally, even with something small, silence, reflection, gratitude, or simply slowing down, your brain learns closure. And a brain that learns closure rests better, processes better, and thinks clearer. How you end your day becomes how your brain prepares for tomorrow. Most people think their life is shaped by big decisions. The career choice, the relationship, the turning point. But psychology tells us something quieter. Your life is shaped by what you repeat when no one is watching. Not the dramatic moments, the invisible ones. Every small habit you've seen in this video is a vote. A vote for the kind of person your brain is learning to be. How you react when plans change. How you treat people who can't give you anything. How you speak to yourself after a mistake. How you handle boredom. How you delay. How you end your day. None of these feel important in the moment. That's why they work. Your brain doesn't become what you want. It becomes what you practice. Over time it learns patterns. I avoid discomfort. I don't follow through. I need noise. I'm not safe to slow down. I'll deal with this later. And slowly, quietly, those patterns turn into personality. This is why change feels hard. You're not fighting behavior. You're fighting familiarity. Your brain prefers what it knows over what's good for you, even if what it knows is stress, avoidance, or chaos. But here's the part most people miss. Small habits don't just trap you. They can rebuild you. Because the same system that learned these patterns can unlearn them. Not with motivation, not with discipline, but with awareness. The moment you notice a habit, it loses some of its power. When you pause before reacting, when you don't escape boredom immediately, when you follow through once, even imperfectly, when you end the day slowly instead of scrolling, your brain receives a new signal. This matters. I'm safe. I can choose differently. You don't need to change everything. That's another trap. You only need to interrupt the pattern once, and then again, and then often enough that your brain starts to believe you. Because who you become isn't decided by who you are today. It's decided by what you repeat tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. So if you remember one thing from this video, let it be this. Your future self is being trained by your smallest habits right now. Even this moment. The question isn't, who do I want to be? It's, what am I practicing? If this made you notice your own habits, like the video and subscribe. This channel is about the things that shape you quietly.